do 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 do.
Why am I not hearing anything on my end? Audio. It is connected to the Zoom PA.
Right there, I'm getting audio.
It is connected to the Zoom PA audio.
Yeah, I'm getting audio here.
Alright.
Let's see what but I'm not getting the full. I'm not getting the full thing. Only on that setting I'm getting it, which might be okay. We'll just have to bring this across. To over the cords. I guess I wonder if I should just move the mic to this side. And leave that there and just move the mic over here. I think that's what we'll do.
Alright.
That way it's right here. Because I don't have, for some reason, I don't have the ability to have the wide. It's not picking up the wide. The wide
audio?
Yeah. So it's not picking it up. I have to be real close to it instead of over here where I'd like to be. Maybe okay, yeah. If I move it, I'm okay, I think. Yeah. Is the audio on? Okay. Let's see. Do. It's real low, but I think there's the wide, I think. I think that's the wide. Yeah, that's the wide. I'm okay on the wide. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, it's on Zoom now. Okay. 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 Well, cool. Let's switch the mic over to this side. Chair out of here.
You need my help?
No, if you're all set, we're all set. Yeah. Amazing, son. Amazing.
You're on the top.
Yeah. Fuck was that? Okay, so we have 6 minutes. We have 6 minutes till airtime. It never fails. It never fails. Let's see, where are we at here? Channel 6. Channel 6, everybody. Channel 6, yeah. Okay, so we have channel 6 going on right here. And let's see. Okay, and we are looking at over here. Okay, so we just want to move this bad boy out there so we can see it. Yeah. And then that way. Okay, and okay, so we are sitting over here with the goddamn thing right in our way. Okay. All right, let's see. I want to get that cord out of our way. We'll move this up here like that. And now we can move even a little more so over here. Okay, so if we move this a little more over here, and we move us a little more over here. Okay, now while we're looking at our computer and we're talking. Okay, so we've got the mic right there. We've got that like so, just like that. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Um, yeah, yeah. So we have the okay. So we have the audio. All right, we're gonna have to plug the audio in where we want it because that was kind of low. So we're gonna have to bring that up. We're gonna have to talk a little louder. We're gonna have to put that here. We're gonna have to get that phone, plug it in here, because we're live in 5 minutes. Did I not bring that fucking phone up with me? So that should be able to plug in there. All right. So I should be able to hear that. We'll go to Facebook. Okay, so there's that. Here's this. Welcome once again to another truly cannot miss live show here with Sal Santori on Saturday Morning Live with Sal Santori. And we are just getting started. I want to welcome you to the show um, and let everybody know today we have some great information that we'll be putting out. Um, we've been invited to a lot of great events here recently. And one of the things we discovered was a huge need that was actually previously overlooked by myself included, and that would be for the folks, the survivors of veteran suicide tragedies. Um, and when it came to my awareness, it was like, wow, how could we not have recognized this earlier? The way it happened is we were at an event recently and set up and letting folks know what we do and offering our help and resources. And I was approached by several people during this event who happened to be survivors of veteran suicide tragedy. And in coming and speaking with me, they brought they brought with them the burdens and the pain that they've been carrying around. Some very recent, some not very recent, but in each case, it had been troubling them for quite some time. They had nowhere to go with it, which is what was the kind of the aha moment, if you will, to realize that these people had been carrying this around and had nowhere to go with it. And that in itself is tragic. Um, the whole, I don't know how I would best describe it, the whole scenario, the whole event, the effects affect double the effects affect the people um, directly involved and includes the family. Um, so yeah, how did we miss not making help available for the survivors? And our focus has been on veteran suicide prevention and reduction through intervention and starting with reintegration reform. We find the biggest element in reducing and eliminating veteran suicide is starting with reintegration reform. And we're looking at that from a family perspective as well. And especially as a result of this latest aha moment that should have never been an aha moment. It should have been looked at very much earlier. Um, so what we're doing is we are advocating and we're lobbying and we're meeting with lawmakers to see what we can do about having reintegration reformed to include starting the process at a minimum of 90 days prior to DEROS or ETS for our combat troops. That means a minimum of 90 days before they're coming home. Um, the status quo, and you can argue this with me if you want. I'm going to base this on my experience and the fact that I have not seen it change, regardless of the propaganda. Um, I was flown back stateside, given a bus ticket to what my 201 file indicated was my home of record. That wasn't even verified or questioned. And I received a bus ticket from Dover Air Force Base to my home of record, and it was good riddance, goodbye, um, not even good luck, just goodbye. Um, I will say that there is a caveat. The only change that I've come to know about is a brief questionnaire prior to your departure. That the biggest question is, are you okay? Do you feel you need services? And then they add the caveat onto that. If you indicate yes, you will be kept here even longer because we'll have to deal with that. If you want to get home and you want to get home now, check no. Um, really, not even. How about if you check no so you can get home, but then here are all the resources you need for when you do get home. That would even be a little better. But we're talking about going a step further and saying, okay, we don't really even care about that uh, questionnaire that just covers a funding requirement from the DOD, because that's all it is, a funding requirement. Um, and we're saying, look, let's begin reintegration at least 90 days prior. And that way, we're getting the services and everything, the appointments, the information started then, and not something that needs to be done at a later time, because that may never happen uh, due to many factors. But the odds of our veterans connecting once we get home are slim to none, unless there's an intervention, which is a whole different scenario, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But we want to get reintegration. I'm sorry, I got PTSD, as you all well know. Um, However, we want to get reintegration begun prior to coming home. That way, it's a continuous extreme, as you might say, to where we're coming home, the family's involved, and the family is part of the whole plan, the reintegration plan. Um, so our spouses, our children, our parents, our close friends are all part of this plan and have a great awareness of what their roles might be or how they fit in, or at least being aware that, hey, you know, there's some purpose going on here to everything that's happening. Um, which again, that answers the question of having lack of purpose, losing our sense of purpose. So again, that's another element that we'll revisit here in a little bit. But the focus really is on reintegration reform so that we can begin our work prior to coming home. We want to set appointments with um, health and wellness people to include mental and emotional along with the physical. Um, it's a proven fact that the experiences that we have and that we encounter are not like anything anywhere else, and obviously not even contemplated in the civilian world. It can't be that. That's why there's a military and a civilian world. The two collide. They don't do well together unless we have some serious integration, reintegration pathways established so that we can make this transition. Um, and it requires a lot of planning, a lot of strategy, and a lot of work. And when it's done, you will be able to see the results in our veterans coming home a lot more healthy, a lot more happy as can be, um, to be getting home and reuniting with family. And the idea is the feeling of being a stranger in your own home and land is greatly diminished um, through the process. And the fact that we're looking to have reintegration already established means we're coming home to an active plan. And we're coming home with an altered sense of purpose because we realize the one we have in combat overseas is a very defined, um, very not needed to think about sense of purpose. It's a given. There's not thought required. However, when we're coming home, obviously that's no longer going to be our purpose. Um, so we need to figure out, okay, what's going to be our new purpose, and we need to start thinking about that before we're coming home. Um, Unfortunately, guys like me came home and there was no forethought. It's like, okay, uh, for lack of a better term, we unleashed hell on the civilian society, and there's a lot of pain and a lot of everything else that goes into that can and should and needs to be avoided. The time factor, you can't make up for the lost time that was spent um, in the zone. I'm just going to call it, for lack of a better term. So we really need to address this and work on this. And we're going to talk a little bit about the scenario as is currently, because that reintegration is not in place. So we have our folks, our veterans coming home, and it's a culture shock. It's it's totally estranged because number one, our sense of purpose has to change. It can no longer be the same. So we have a void. We have a loss of sense of purpose, and we also have alienation because who can I talk to if I even wanted to? Because chances are we don't want to talk about any of it. Uh, and what we're feeling and what we're experiencing to us is okay. It's perfectly fine. It's how it should be. And I can share with you my experience was that you, the civilian population, have got it wrong. I am right. You are wrong. Actually, you owe me because of the service that I did. And therefore, you need to adjust to me. And I know I'm not alone in that. And I also can tell you that it can be a long process in this zone, um, which is where we need to take a look at intervention. Okay. Um, Ultimately, this zone is part of a process, and that process can lead to veteran suicide. Veteran suicide is not a spontaneous event. Um, it's the result of a process that's been occurring, and it has identifiable stages. And the goal that we want to achieve is being able to first identify, recognize, and identify what's going on in this process. What are the stages? We want to be able to identify them, realize that, hey, we're not just having a bad day or a bad week or even a bad month. There's something going on here, and that's what needs to be looked at. So once we're able to realize that, hey, first of all, our veteran does not have a sense of purpose um, in a positive sense. It may it may manifest in some very negative uh, formats, self-destructive, um, destroying outside of ourselves. And, there again, it's a result of, and it's part of the mentality that I am right, society's wrong, um, and you need to adjust to me. So we need to be able to cognizantly become aware of that and realize that, it's deeper than just a choice to be rude, crude, and socially unacceptable. The causes run a lot deeper. And if we take that a little further and we start to see, hey, you know, our veteran is becoming less and less approachable, less and less social, um, and more withdrawn. And we see that continually compounding, getting stronger. Again, we want to realize, hey, this is part of a process. Um, we start to see depression, and that the motivation for daily activities, daily life is really draining, slipping away, lack of interest in things that were maybe interesting and initially when we return. Um, and we can figure that out, whatever we as individuals, because this is totally individual circumstances, however, based on many common contributing factors that are part of each and every one of us, and to some degree. So we're starting to lose interest and zest. Like, I'm not. Usually on a Friday night we do whatever, whether we go out or it's pasta night at our home, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm not interested in going out. I don't care what we have for dinner, and you start seeing that. Everybody has their ups and downs. Don't get me wrong. It's because it's a one-time thing, so to speak. Does not mean, hey, we've got a huge problem here. Allow folks to be human. But when we see this as a beginning, as a pattern, and a consistency, then yes, the odds are we definitely have something going on here. Um, so again, there we have another identifiable contributing factor. So as we continue on and the depression deepens, uh, unless we start to look at this and begin our intervention. Okay, intervention itself is a process where we want to establish a team of folks who can really um, change the landscape. We want to start reaching out to friends of our veteran and ourselves, our family, um, clergy, members of a spiritual organization or activity or group, some of the local veterans organizations in your area. You want to also consider very strongly speaking with the primary care physician, um, and also emotional wellness people, um, to find out, okay, what can we do here? Let's make appointments with these people. Let's let them know our observations, our concerns, and let's get everyone together to form a team to to develop a strategy and quickly. I'm not talking about dragging this out. Time is not our friend here, and we want to get this put together and in place quickly. Um, and another caveat is we want to be very aware of who we are selecting and approaching for this team effort. One of the things we want to be very aware of is that military experienced people, other veterans, are the best, and in some cases, the only resource you want to choose from, because outside of that, you're going to have a whole different uh, level of understanding or not understanding. Um, Clinical and critical viewpoints may come into play that don't understand or are not able to comprehend the entire picture here, the entire cause and effect. So we definitely want to stick with military people. And we also want to make sure, above all else, we are looking at safe resources. And by safe resources, what I'm talking about are non mandated reporters. Um, we want to be able to have the inherent safety of knowing that all of our conversations stay right with the people who are having them. And we don't need mandated reporters to get involved and feel their obligation that they need to take this information to an outside source, uh, thereby inviting unwelcome consequences that are not necessary. Um, if the situation becomes dire enough, the emergency ward at the VA and other resources are available for immediate, and I can't stress this enough, immediate, right then and there, um, solutions, opportunities, resources. Um, it never has to be a situation where we'll get back to you. That's not what we're looking for. Um, so we want to be aware of the urgency, and we want to speak with people well in advance to do everything in our power to not have a last minute dire emergency on our hands. And when we talk about reaching out in an emergency situation, there is the Veterans Crisis Line, which is from any phone anywhere. You can simply dial 988 and then press 1. You will be connected with a person. Now, I've actually used this system to help another veteran, and I can speak with experience on the results. I did not get another veteran on the other end of the phone to speak with, which was actually problematic, um, because it actually cost us 45 minutes to an hour of progress time in resolving and getting help for this veteran. It was not a suicide call that I made. So that hour that was lost, even though highly important and very much a red flag, was not critical in this moment. And the way this hour was lost in trying to get this non-veteran to be able to understand exactly what was going on. She could not comprehend it, and all she wanted to do, as she is taught, okay, she was a great lady, a great person, um, throughout our working together in this scenario. She really was a great person, with a great heart. However, her training left her handicapped. Um, so I was basically asking a person with one arm to win a volleyball championship, and that's not impossible. And I know I'm going to hear people say, "Hey, well, Sal, I know this guy, I know this girl. They have one arm and they do play volleyball, and that's amazing. It's wonderful." And that's not the context I'm trying to use here. I think you get that. Um, but due to her training, she was instructed to follow a certain protocol, which did not have the flexibility to address the situation as is. Um, Had she been a veteran, I am very assured that she would have been able to sense the urgency, um, be able to comprehend the situation much more quickly, and have chosen how to react and interact very much more appropriately. Um, and again, I want to emphasize this was not a suicide call, but it was a crisis time, a crisis event. Um, so the other part of that equation is that it required me to maintain my faculties 120% during this whole time to realize what the person on the other end was not able to comprehend, and for me to adjust to that and and compensate for her lack of ability to work outside the box, or even think outside the box. So it was extremely stressful. I had a veteran and a friend of the veteran in a highly charged state. Um, and it was interesting because I had a lot of natural reactions come to surface that I had to quell. Um, I couldn't allow them to fully process, because it would have generated an outcome that was not the desired outcome. Um, and then that would have had all of its own consequences that were not desired, the unintended consequences, let's say. So it was very stressful. So let me get back to the 988.1, press one. Um, Bear in mind, it is a fallible system. Um, and be, as I learned, be very careful of your expectations, because you will probably, unless God intervenes on your behalf in this situation and you get just the right person, it can be a challenge. So be prepared for that. And by all means, God is always in control. And I can testify at this point that that experience was definitely in God's control, my experience with 988.1. And it was a learning experience for me that God made sure I received. Um, And I learned on so many levels. I learned about myself. I learned about the system. I learned about faith. I learned about prayer. And I learned about the humanity in not only my friend who's a veteran, but also his friend. Uh, so it was a great learning experience. I want to let everyone know you are never, ever alone. Um, whether you are looking to intervene on someone's behalf or you are the veteran um, in total need, you're never alone. You can reach me. Not only do you have the 988, but you can also reach me on my personal phone, which I promise never to not answer. If you call, I will answer. Of course, I won't recognize the number, and that's fine. That will not be a reason to not answer. I don't care if it's dark 30. Call me, and that number is 717 455 7086. Again, 717 455 7086. You can also reach us here at the Kazern Community and Veterans Outreach. And that email is simply sal at the initials kzcvo.org. Again, sal at the kzcvo.org. We're on Facebook. All you have to do is Google the Kazern Community and Veterans Outreach, Google my name, Sal Santori, and Google will open up some resources for you to be able to reach out and get into contact. We have been working on a website. My son, our technical guru, he's wonderful, man. Um, Saves me so many hours and days and weeks on the learning curve. Uh, he calls me Dad the Caveman. um, but we've been working on a website. It's about ready to be published, and I can't wait to let everyone know that. But it's becoming a beautiful website to let folks know uh, what we're doing and resources and all that. But we're out of time for today's show. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank and express my gratitude for our huge family and continually growing of the greatest of all time viewers and listeners. Thank you so much. And by all means, as always, please remember, find some